Welcome back, Canada Satchel viewers. In today's video, we are going to be going over some tips and tricks for shore crabbing. Now, that is shore crabbing in my book, and what you'll be learning about would be just anything that involves throwing, casting, or leaving your crab bait from the shore rather than a boat. So if you're in a boat, this video does not apply to you. Maybe I'll make one in the future, but as of right now, this is for just people who want to know how to not lose their crab traps, catch more crabs, catch larger crabs, and just overall gain knowledge about shore crabbing. So if you are one of those people, then continue to watch this video because it is right for you. So one thing you're going to want to know, first of all, we're just here with our crab trap in the water. First thing you're going to want to know, because boaters don't need to know this, get a stronger rod. This is an ocean rod, and this still has been quite... It has seemed like sometimes it might break. So I have a smaller rod which broke a lot faster. That one's right over here. And then it was another one the size up that broke too. So you're gonna want to really make sure you have very heavy duty rods. As a quick note, that smaller rod I actually broke in a storage shed, so that one actually was not broken from crabbing, but I have two rods that are. So get a bigger and stronger rod. And the next tip I'm going to say is going to be bring something else to do. You will get bored. So you're going to get bored, so bring like a fishing rod, a book, something else that's going to be interesting, so you're not going to be pulling in your crab traps while they're in the water, because that will decrease the amount of big crabs that you get. Because if you are getting bigger crabs, that's probably because you're leaving it out there for longer amounts of time. Because as your crab trap hits the water, what's going to happen is the small crabs are going to rush onto it, and then afterwards, for maybe about, 15 minutes later, then you'll start to get the bigger crabs that you can actually keep and would want to keep, that will actually come onto the trap. So if you're pulling it up all the time, you're not going to be catching many big crabs. So that is why you need something to distract yourself, because I know I don't have the willpower to be able to do it and wait the actual necessary amount of time without just something else to do. For our next tip, I'm going to say the type of crab trap you use. If you're out here in an area that's super seaweedy, because that's another thing they say, is look for seaweed. It's a huge advantage because the crabs will use the kelp to help them blend in and hide. So that way they are safer from predators. But in kelpy areas, and you're probably going to be, which are good for fish and crabbing, you're probably going to be able to use those square box folding crab traps, but I would not recommend them in rocky areas. We're here on Neathart's Bay, and this is definitely one of those rockier areas where the areas that are actually good for crabbing are very, very, very rocky. So do not use those because their square edges are going to get snagged. I have lost, over $120 so far in the last month on those square ones. So I'm just not buying them anymore. Other things you're going to want to know, use like the round ones. There are round crab traps that work pretty well. I've seen ones that just pull straight up. Those ones work pretty well. All in all, I'd say that kind of thing is going to work a lot better. Or if you are going to still use those boxy ones, one thing you have to do, make sure the reel that you're using to throw them, has a very high gear ratio. That is because you will need it to pull it in fast. Because the trick is to keep it above the rocks. So as you're reeling it in, you need to make sure that it never stops, and that you never stop reeling, and the line never stops being retrieved, because if it does, it will snag almost immediately. That is how I've lost literally every single one that I lost so far. So make sure to always reel in quickly. It will save you a lot of money, and you'll wish you did. You'll wish that you did. I can't speak. Another thing you want to know, don't wear shoes that you care about. You'll get wet almost certainly. And if you just want an overall guide, by the way, you should probably go and check out my ultimate guide to crabbing. I can probably put that in the upper right-hand corner of the video. That way you'll get a nice guide that covers just about everything. Right now I'm just doing shore crabbing. Be very careful of these. You're probably going to want to wear gloves, especially if it's your first few times, because these things are sharp. Currently I have in my hand some pretty bad cuts from just barnacles. I got those the other day. You'll actually see more about them in the Ultimate Crab Guide for Beginners. That one also is mainly from shore, but you're still going to learn quite a lot. I showed the different types of crab traps if you're interested, like the one I'm currently got on here. Also, if you spot crabs during in the water, you can end up finding where a good spot would be generally. And I would go over the male and female crabs, but those aren't going to be particularly helpful for right now. It's because I already covered those in that other video, so you should go and check that video out. And once again, I cannot overstate the importance of bringing something else to do. It will keep you busy and it'll keep your attention when all you want to do is just reel in that reel, because that's what I want to do right now. But right now I'm talking to you guys, so it's not that hard. Bring a pair of binoculars. That'll be really fun, because you can often spot, if you are fishing alongside, you can often spot where the fish are going to be because of where the seagulls are going to be, if you're trying to fish too. And also, rather than looking at the seaweed or kelp, the biggest thing you need to know is going to be the depth. So before you go crabbing somewhere, especially if you're shore crabbing, because if you're crabbing from shore, you've already got one thing against you, and that's that you don't have a boat and you're not as mobile and cannot just go straight out to wherever you're trying to get to. So if you're crabbing from shore, what I would recommend doing is Googling depth map, and then your depth map, and then the body of water you are planning to go crabbing at, because that will save you a lot of time going to these miss locations, because it'll be miss hit. And if you actually do your research ahead of time, you can get pretty much constant hits on where you're going, because it'll just be one good thing. Another thing, if you're shore crabbing, is if you're casting out there and you find a hot spot, stick with it, but don't stick with it for too long, because it can change pretty quickly, especially with the tide. One thing I did not cover in my ultimate crabbing video that I kind of wish I would have is the tide. So the best time is slack tide overall, and then I find that anywhere around slack tide, both incoming and then out, when the tide is going out, is the worst. You don't want to go at when the tide is just leaving. But incoming and slack tide are both fantastic times. So that's morning at night, so you're going to want to do that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This video has just been on basic shore crabbing. If you want to see more or have any questions, let me know, because I'm out here quite a bit. So just let me know and I will try to answer them, and we might even just make a whole new video about it. Thank you so much for watching, Satchel viewers. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something new. Go check out that ultimate crabbing video that should be right up in there somewhere. Or actually probably right there. And yeah, go check that out. It'll teach you anything you didn't learn in here. And then go check out my other videos. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Satchel signing off. Bye.